Hello, good. Oh, I was going to say good morning, but it's afternoon. It's Star here, the Facelift Food Coach, and I wanted to talk to you about fat today. There's a lot of interest in fat in the sort of media, and a lot of people promoting high-fat diets. There's a new diet book coming out which is saying that fruit isn't the dietist's friend and fat is, and all this kind of stuff. And it actually really worries me that this kind of nonsense is being perpetuated. You know, as usual, the sort of food and nutrition industry colludes to make people unhealthier, and they don't tell people the truth about their diets. Instead, they come up with some new silly fad diet and promote this, promote that, and it's all about profits at the end of the day. Relating to fat, I mean, I'm in the UK, and I think our kind of current government guidelines suggest we eat 30% of our daily calories as fat. I think that equals about sort of 70 grams of fat for an adult female, which is a huge amount of fat. If you put 70 grams of fat on a plate, you wouldn't be able to eat it without throwing up. It's disgusting. 30% of our calories as fat is in the range that is kind of in the fat intake range that a lot of degenerative diseases like diabetes and heart disease are linked to. So that your government is actually promoting you to eat a disease-style diet with that amount of fat. Now, I actually try to eat under 10% of my daily calories as fat, and that sounds really low when you're used to hearing that you need 30%. But let's look at where that figure came from. Okay, government-based RDAs, which stand for recommended daily amount. I think they use a lot of R and I's these days, which stand for reference nutrient intake, but they're the same thing in the essence of it. Yeah, they come from the government, and the government are advised on nutrition by people from the food industry. And by the food industry, I really mean the junk food industry, because you don't get sort of an apple grower being on these boards. It's always someone from, like, you know, Procter & Gamble or, you know, the British Nutrition Foundation, who are all funded by the junk food industry. Tate & Lyle, Big Sugar companies, you know, representatives from all. You think of a mainstream junk food brand, and guaranteed a representative will be funding the kind of studies and the kind of groups that promote certain diets that the government then recommends to its people. Its people, that sounds scary, doesn't it? So we're being recommended a high-fat diet because junk foods are notoriously high in fat. And so were things like meat and dairy. You can't, if the government was suddenly to say, no, this is wrong, and what people really need is a diet that's less than 10% fat, there would be an absolute uproar. All the junk food companies will pull their funding from the government. They wouldn't be able to do it, basically. So we're being told to eat unhealthily by the companies that really want us to be buying their food, which is high in fat. So that's where that figure is coming from, this 30%. They probably would like it to be more. Probably someone put a stop to it and said, no, we've got to cap it somewhere. Now, there are really two types of fat, and I don't mean good fat and bad fat. That's a really moronic way of putting it. We're kind of being preached this good fat, bad fat ideal. I don't know where it comes from, but there are only real two types of fat, and that's essential fat and non-essential fat. And essential really does mean essential. It means your body can't synthesize it. It has to have it in the diet. Other fats, such as cholesterol, we make ourselves. There's absolutely no need whatsoever to have dietary cholesterol. Your body makes it itself. It could also make all sorts of different fatty acids and fats from the kind of foods that you take in. The body itself actually has no need to eat fat. It needs fatty acids, which it then builds into fats itself for its own use. In the same way that we don't need to eat protein, what we do need is amino acids to build the proteins from. Human body needs human proteins. human body needs human fats. So when people say, stop promoting things like saturated fat as a healthy option, well, it isn't. Your human body needs human fats made from essential fatty acids, and there's only 2 essential fatty acid types, and you all know them as omega-3 and omega-6. Those are families of fatty acids, and within them are actual different fatty acids. So omega-3 family of fatty acids contains ALA, which is alpha linolenic acid. It also is DHA and EPA. Now, DHA and EPA you can actually synthesize in your body, provided your omega-6 to 3 ratio is correct, and in most people it's not. And then your omega-6 contains linoleic acid and arachidonic acid. So your omega-3 and 6s are your 2 essential fats. You don't need any other fats added to your diet. They're the 2 that you have to eat on a daily basis. And guess how much you need to eat of those? Well, there isn't actually an official recommended amount, but in certain studies, like from different institutes that study fatty acids and lipids, and from the World Health Organization, and from various science pages, and if you go into the World Health Organization, they actually download a massive document all about fatty acid research and human nutrition. The actual recommended amount is about between 1 and 2 grams of omega-3 and up to 4 grams of omega-6. So the ratio would be 1 omega-3 to 4 omega-6. So 1 gram to 4 grams. That totals 5 grams of daily fat. That's a teaspoon of fat. That's how much fat the human body actually needs on a daily basis. So why people are promoting the idea we need 70 grams is obscene when you think that the essential fatty acids equate to 5 grams, and you're going to be eating 70 grams. You're imbibing 65 extra grams of fat every single day, and we're wondering why we've got an obesity epidemic in the Western world. I wonder. Answers on a postcard. It's really that simple. We don't need anywhere near the amount of fat that our governments and our dietitians are telling us to. They are all colluding with the junk food industry that sell products high in fat. They can't make those products low fat. It'd be almost impossible for them. For one, they taste disgusting if they weren't very fatty, because there'd be nothing else to it. They'd just be sugar and air. The fat kind of gives it a consistency to make it feel like it's a real food. So it's a controversial subject, I know, but I don't, care about being controversial. I'd rather people know the truth, know the facts about their diet, than to pussyfoot around and pretend that 30% of your diet's fat is fine. It's not fine. It's a disgrace that people are being told they need that much fat every day. And people who promote fats, who are selling fats as a healthy thing, really should be, looking at why they feel they need to profit from promoting foods that are completely non-essential to the human diet. The human body doesn't need free fats at all. By free fat, I mean a fat that's been extracted from its original food source. So olive oil, for example. It's far better for you to eat a handful of olives, which contain all the minerals and vitamins and the fibres, and everything's there in a full whole package with fibre, than to eat extracted olive oil. The same with flaxseed. The amount of websites I see where people are promoting flax as a good source of omega-3, which it is, but they don't promote flaxseed, which is about £2 for a massive bag. They're promoting flaxseed oil, which is about £10 to £15 for a small bottle. Now, I wonder why they're promoting the oil and not the seed. It's not to do with your health. Believe me, it's to do with making a massive profit margin on the product. There's not much profit to be made on natural foods in their whole state, but there's lots to be made by extracting them and telling people they're healthy and need to be included in the diet. So that's just an overview about the amount of fat I feel the human body needs. I'm going to go into fatty acids in a lot more detail in a second video because there's a lot more to be said, but I didn't want to make a huge, giant, long video. I want to break it up a little bit. So keep your fats low. There's no benefit to you to having your diet at 30% or even more of fat. It's totally unhealthy. It's not what the human body actually needs. Our needs are very small to do with fats. Less than 10% of our daily calories need to come from fats, and it needs to be the correct fats too. Good fatty acids from whole plant foods. Okay? Hope that makes sense.